Are streaming service costs getting out of hand? I mean, do you have to choose between eating or watching your favorite streaming provider? Let's talk about it.
It's time for a virtual campfire sit-down with Terry Weiss. Welcome to Weiss Thoughts.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Weiss Thoughts. I am Terry Weiss, and I am so glad that you've decided to join me on this episode of the podcast today, what I like to call our virtual campfire sit-down. Thank you for joining me. And just a reminder, I do have a website. It is weissthoughts.com for the podcast. Just make sure you spell my name right, W-Y-C-E, Weiss Thoughts for the podcast. And I also have a voiceover website at Terry Weiss. You just go terryweiss.com, not at Terry Weiss. At Terry Weiss is my handle on X, formerly known as Twitter. But you can tweet at me on Twitter, or X if you want to call it that, at Terry Weiss. And terryweiss.com is the voiceover website as well. And the YouTube channel of the same name, Terry Weiss on YouTube. And, on Facebook and all over the place. LinkedIn, you name it, I'm out there. So I am not hard to find. But good day, one and all, or good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you happen to be listening to the program today. And welcome, welcome, welcome. So what are we going to talk about on this episode of the podcast? Well, as teased in the intro, we are going to talk about streaming services. They seem to be going up. And, it used to be that, you know what? Before we get into that, let's do our wordsmith word of the episode, shall we?
It's that time again. It's time for the wordsmith word of the episode.
That's right, it certainly is. Thank you, Mr. Announcer Extraordinaire. All right, let's get to our artificial woman announcer, AWA for short. What is this week's wordsmith word of the episode?
Neoteric.
Okay, say that one more time so we can hear that pronunciation.
Neoteric.
All right, neoteric, spelled Neoteric, Neoteric, and it is a noun. It can be used as a form of a noun, a modern person, a person who advocates new ideas, or as an adjective, it can be a new or modern or recent. Some example sentences: even though he has a shelf of classic rock albums, Tom tends to listen to the most neoteric releases. Or another sentence that you can use the word neoteric in: the University Gallery is the hub of the city's neoteric art scene. So there you go. This week's wordsmith word of the episode, the word origin is from Latin in the late 16th century, neoteric, Neoteric, and pronounced in the following manner.
Neoteric.
And that is this week's wordsmith word of the episode. So now everyone has a big brain, everyone is smart, and, Yahoo, goody for us, goody for you. So there you go. Now you can go out and impress your friends because you have the wordsmith word of the episode. There we go. It works better when I talk into the microphone. Oh, golly. Sometimes you get in the studio and it's just, you got a feeling it's going to be one of those days. And you're like, should I really go on and do this or not? But no, we do it. Come on. We do it. We love being with you. So neoteric, there you go. So anyway, welcome to this little ditty called Weiss Thoughts. I am so glad you decided to join us today. And I am so glad that you are here. And we are all enjoying everything as we shamalama-ding-dong along here. So, as promised in the opener, we're talking about streaming. Okay, streaming. And when I say streaming, a lot of you out there, immediately, what's your first thing that comes to mind? Netflix. I mean, that's like one of the biggest one. Or, it could be YouTube TV or Hulu TV, stuff like that. When you think of streaming, you think generally of people who have cut the cord found a way to get away from the big cable companies and have cut the cord and wanted to escape. Number one, and probably the foremost reason that people do it, is for the money. To save themselves a few shillings, as it were, a few pennies, a few pounds, depending on your country of origin's currency. And they try and do it to save money. That's what we did in the Weiss household. We did it initially to try and save some money because, cable kept going up every year. But now, here's the thing, my friends. Here's the thing. Have you noticed in the past couple of years, especially in the past year, that streaming services, not only one time, but in some companies' cases, some of them have doubled down on increasing your rate twice in a year. I mean, you got Disney Plus, you got Hulu, YouTube TV raised their rates a little bit while back, Fubio TV. Apple just came out with streaming now. Their Apple TV Plus, which isn't really, quote, TV oriented, like where you get, your regular terrain type channels, cable channels. They're more of like a Netflix type thing where they offer, independent programming and things of that nature. They've raised their prices. And in fact, when it comes to Apple TV, they just had a walloping price increase across the board on practically every service they offer for streaming. Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, what's the other one? Apple News, and a major, I mean, it went up. I subscribe to the Apple Premiere Plus. Or Apple Premiere, I think it's called. They bundle all the services. You get your cloud storage, you get Apple News, you get Apple Music, you get Apple Fitness, you get Apple TV Plus and all that. And I was paying like $34 a month. By the time I got done with tax, it was about $36 because, government and states got to take their bite. And I thought, well, it was a decent value for the money because I was saving, a couple $100 a year as opposed to buying all these things separately. Okay. So I'm not above looking into that, seeing if it's a worthwhile investment for myself. However, they just raised that by $5 a month. Okay, that's pretty substantial. I mean, $5 a month. Now it's going to be near like $40 a month when you all get said and done. It's like $37 something. I think $37.95 for all those services. Now, these companies, Apple included, and those of you that listen to the Weiss Thoughts podcast know that I am a big Apple fanboy, fan guy, what have you, because I use a lot of the Apple products and have for over a decade. And again, I've gone into reasonings why I do this on past programs because they just work for me. They just work. Very rarely that something goes awry and breaks down. And if it does, I can pick up a phone. I can call somebody as opposed to companies that hide behind chatbots and email and AI chatbots and everything. Their customer service is by far still for my money, the best in the industry. However, it comes with, like some of you out there like to call it, the Apple tax. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, pets of all ages, if you buy a product and it basically works and doesn't break down every other day, and if you have run into a problem or an issue or a concern and you got to speak to someone, you can actually get a hold of somebody. I think that goes a long way for a few dollars more. However, they're getting kind of greedy as well. So I digress. I was a little disappointed at the frequency and the amount of the price hike. I really was. Netflix has been just raising their prices every year. And now latest, I have been a Amazon Prime subscriber pretty much since the program started. Way back when it was like $49, then it went to $69, then it went to $79, then it went to $99. Then it went up to 100, and I think it was 9 or 19, and $129. Well, now it's up to over 150 some bucks a year. But with that, me and the missus, we do shop a lot on Prime and buy things. And you got the Amazon Prime movies and TV shows, and they kind of threw that in as well with a couple of the perks. And if you listen to Amazon Music with commercials, or they kind of threw that in as well. However, here's a little sneaky thing Jeff Bezos and Amazon have done now for Amazon Prime subscribers. So you were paying for all those features, but now they're going to sneak commercials in to Amazon Prime Video and television programs. And if you want those commercials removed, if you don't want to watch 2 minutes or whatever commercials, you got to pay an extra $5 a month. $5 a month to escape commercials. I mean, these companies are getting a little ridiculous, I think, on the consumer side, as far as and they give you the corporate speak. Well, it's to maximize development, and content providers want more money. We're doing original programming, and we got to pay these actors, we got to pay the studios and the directors because you, the public, have said you want more original programming. You see how it's a slippery slope, a rabbit hole that, you can fall down. Now, a lot of people have begun pulling back, and our household included, on some of the streaming services, because I challenge you to do this. Because we did this in our household, and when we did, we went, holy crap, the amount of money your household spends on streaming services, audio, video, subscription type, internet-based subscription services. Add them all up. Write them down. I challenge you to do this. When you look at that number, you are probably going to need a Depends, because you're going to crap yourself. Because we did. We didn't crap ourselves, but we were like, wow, I can't believe that. And some of them we've just canceled. Some of them we like, you know what? I can live without this. I can live without that. You know what? We don't need that streaming service because there's free alternatives out there. We can cut back on this, and no, we don't need that. And we've ended up saving ourselves almost $500 to $600 right off the bat, just doing minor cuts to streaming services and internet subscription-based items. $600 a year. Now, you might not look at that, you might be out there saying, well, Terry, big deal. $600 a year. I get Starbucks twice a week, That's how they get you. That's how they get you. As my grandfather used to say, God rest his soul, they nickel and dime you to death. And he was saying that about things long before the internet was around. They'll nickel and dime you to death. And that's what's happening, my friends. These internet companies, these streaming providers, they're nickel and diming us to death. They're getting us hooked in on the content and the programming, and they nickel and dime you to death. We were looking back, we were looking at internet TV providers. Now, we have Spectrum for our internet provider. We have Spectrum. Now, Spectrum offers, you could get the terrestrial cable box, but they're going away from those, okay? They have something called Xumo, or I think it's Xumo, that they want to have you have in your house, which is basically, your house is basically wired up. That's for internet. There's no more cable TV boxes in your house. They're trying to push everybody to this, okay? Which, okay, fine, because maybe it's easier for them to control. But now they want to charge you $5 for that. So I guess cable box rental was what, $9-10 back in the day. However, for the past couple of years, we have, as I mentioned, we're an Apple household mostly, and we have Apple TVs throughout the house on all our televisions. So we've been using that for our extra content, Netflix, Hulu, what have you, and our Apple movies that we purchased through iTunes, as well as a couple other things. So when they finally developed the Spectrum TV app for the Apple TV, we said, oh, okay, and it just kind of came with it. We were able to download it for free because we had a cable box in the house a couple years back. However, they came to us and offered us an internet-only version of our TV subscription in a great package. A great package. And I said, okay, we'll try it. You still get a cloud DVR. The cloud DVR has gotten better over the past couple of years, so I will give kudos and props where it is due to Spectrum. It has gotten better over the past couple of years. It allows you to keep it, take it with you on the go, etc. So, the corporations, the big media corporations and the cable companies now are trying to embrace streaming. And I say all this to say this. Sit down and take a hard look at what you're subscribing to on the internet, especially, audio/video services. You might want to take a look, if you've cut the cord, you might want to take a look at your cable company again for the simple fact is that they might be offering a streaming-only package that can get you the channels with their app through your device and save you a hell of a lot of money. They are actually coming around full circle and actually kind of being the best bang for your buck, the best value for your money at this point in time. At least it was in our household after we looked at, because we had tried YouTube TV, tried Fubio TV. I think that's how you pronounce that, Fubio. Fubio was nice, and they had a couple, cool features, but the problem with them, and they still haven't resolved this, and this has been going on for a majority of people I've heard, and because I had to look it up in forums when I ran into this problem with it during our trial, is that when you record something on their DVR system, you can't delete it. It won't delete. It'll just keep coming back. You'll delete it, and it'll show you initially, but then when you go back into the app on any device, your recording shows back up again. Well, that's the same problem I had with YouTube TV. You can't record individual programs or episodes or a season on YouTube TV. If you want to record something on YouTube TV, let's say that is a episodic type of television program, you get every freaking episode of that, and you got to wade through and find what's recorded, what isn't. Now, I'm sure they probably have their logistical or operational parameters, excuse me, for why that is. I'm going to take a quick sip of water here. I'm sure they have a reason why that is, but YouTube TV, Google, come on, guys. How about individual recordings or allowing seasons like Hulu does? I think you'd get a lot more people coming over to your YouTube TV if you offer that, because your product is pretty darn good. And then there's Hulu TV. They're good as well. However, when you look at the prices of these offerings, $75, $80, $85, $90 a month for what you were paying $70 a month, $80 a month for in cable, and then by the time you get done with everything, cable might be, going back to the cable's version of their streaming offerings might be the best way for you to go at this point in time. I remember early on, a lot of the talk was, let's jump out of, traditional landline, terrestrial television and cable, so we can, we're going to go into the offerings of internet television and internet providers for that and see what these companies can offer, for the simple fact of competition will open up the market. Well, one company now, Netflix keeps raising their prices. They are definitely by far the most expensive platform right now. The most expensive streaming platform for video is Netflix. Correct me if I'm wrong. Email me at terry@weissthoughts or mail@weissthoughts.com. But they're definitely, in my mind's eye and research, the most expensive platform. And quite honestly, they have some nice content on there. They've had some, they've lured some Hollywood stars, and they've had some great content. However, at what point do you state to yourself, this is just too much money for this? At what, especially in this economy over the past couple, 3 years, with the economy on the downturn, not to be a Debbie Downer, but at what point do you say, do I pay Netflix and have Netflix, or do I eat this week? And some of us, that's a choice for some of us, I mean, not myself, but I know some of you out there. I mean, and I get it. All right. You've got to have entertainment. Everybody, you got to have something to do, whether it's read a book, watch a movie, sing a song, listen to music, what have you. Otherwise, you just sit around going, and you go bonkers, I totally understand that. But at what point does the streaming offerings out there, audio, video, literary content based, at what point do these become more of a burden than they are worth? At what point are they financially just not worth it any longer? Excuse me. So you have to determine that. And again, the best thing I would recommend is to sit down with your family and go through every single streaming platform, internet platform, everything that you subscribe to, and start looking at ways to cut back. Like I said, here in our household, we did it, and we just trimmed the fat of very, very little. We just touched the surface. And guess what? We saved over $600 a year, and we don't miss anything that we cut out. Don't miss it at all. It was really painless. I was surprised. Hey, thanks for listening to the program today. I truly appreciate each and every one of you out there. And remember, to see a change in the world, you have to be the change in the world you want to see. It all starts with you, the person looking back at you in the mirror every morning. Remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others. If you want to tweet at me on Twitter, it's at Terry Weiss. Stop by the website, weissthoughts.com, just to make sure you spell my name right, W-Y-C-E, weissthoughts.com. And hey, leave us a positive rating and review on your favorite podcast provider, won't you? Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your pets about Weiss Thoughts. And I look forward to gathering yet again around the virtual campfire with you real soon. Take care.